What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jay, aka Straight Drop Jay, and you're now watching Reason Gang TV. Happy New Year, happy late Christmas. Let's start the new year with some dope ass knowledge on vocals. Alright, in Reason, you have everything you need for the high quality professional vocal chain. Same as Pro Tools, same quality, everything. Okay, so when you're recording your vocals, there's a few main things you need on your vocals. First of all, you're going to want to record with a soundproof booth or minimum acoustic treatment, so there's not crazy reverb, or something similar to this, which is microphone acoustic treatment. It's I think it's called the Chaotica ball, but they have a bunch of different types. It's like 50 to 100 bucks. They're superb. It's like having a mic booth, like a mini mic booth right there. So basically there's not going to be any reverb, but you do need to be in a studio environment so that it's quiet. But it doesn't need to be soundproof because it does a lot of the soundproofing right there. But in any case, you're never going to beat the soundproof booth vocal quality, but you could get away with it. Lots of rappers do, trust me. A lot of rappers record in hotels. A lot of rappers record, you would never, not even believe where Travis Scott has recorded in a house with a sheet over his head, and at the same time being a real top-notch quality artist, and he still does it. Lil Wayne does it in hotels. He also has his studio in Miami, the Hit Factory. I've been there a few times. But just saying, like, you could get quality. You just have to be careful when you're recording it in. So number one, you're gonna need to record it clean, no reverb in the room, and no loud noises. Number two, you don't want distortion. Now, you could get away with a little distortion with a tube preamp because it has third order harmonics distortion, analog distortion, which means that it sounds smooth and it doesn't hurt your ears. Digital distortion sounds terrible. It cuts in your eardrums and it doesn't sound good. Regardless, I wouldn't go for the distortion at all. You want a good, clean recording. All right, I'm gonna show you in detail in Reason everything else, but basically it's corrective equalization. That consists of taking out the bass in the low end of your voice, like a low pass or high cut. No, low cut or high pass filter. That gets rid of the low lows. Then you're gonna wanna fix the proximity, which is the boxy effect. And then you're gonna wanna either juice up or take away some highs, depending on your mic. Compress it so it's level. Then you're gonna want to add a little bit of air and then de-ess whatever's sticking out. And that's pretty much it. Then you go to your reverbs and your delays for how you want it to sound, how wet you want it to sound, depending on if it's a singer or a rapper, etc. One thing I forgot to say is you do wanna, if you don't have a vocal, if you don't have a soundproof booth, you're definitely gonna want to put a gate, which after a certain level, it'll completely cut off your mic and make it quiet. So it kind of like sounds like a soundproof booth, real close to it. A lot of radio hosts use it. I'll show you how to do it in Reason. I'll show you everything from A to Z in Reason. It's not hard. It's just, you gotta know what to do. And every single one of these little effects counts. So if you miss one, it's gonna crumble because it's not gonna, everyone fits together like a glove, and it gives you that nice, solid, yet open and present professional sound. Let's go, I'm gonna show you guys, come on. Okay, so I have recorded a couple bars, and I recorded it through my preamp. Yes, it is a tube preamp. I actually turned off all the outboard effects, so it's just a preamp. It's no compressor, it's no gating, no de-essing or anything, just straight up from the preamp in. You can use any preamp for this. The only difference of a tube and a digital amp would be the tube saturation has a little bit of a smoother like texture, but to the naked ears you can't really perceive it. But I did record it in dry, and here it goes. I'm gonna show you how to start off making the vocals clean and reason. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna want to do with these lyrics are you're gonna want to go to the equalizer. Let's go up here, open the equalizer, make it bigger. We're going to do a high pass filter, which is going to get rid of those low rumbles. You don't want to say, "Hey, I'm at the party," and then when party hits, you hear the P, that poo part. You don't want that to hit with a lot of bass, and then it's gonna crowd up your subs and your kicks, and it's gonna sound terrible in a big party atmosphere, like a club atmosphere. So first off, let's play it. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. You see how when I said pull up, a lot of bass came around here? All right, well, let's get rid of that. So let's turn the equalizer on. Let's go to high pass filter. That means only the highs are going to pass. So when you engage that, it instantly brings you around right here, right around here. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Okay, so the main goal of this is to make it sound natural, yet bring it up where there's nothing hitting, I'd say under 80 to 100-ish, but definitely around 80, and 80 is like the sweet spot where you could actually tell what you really want. Anything under 80, you really don't need it. Unless there's someone with a very brittle voice where you want to just juice it up there. But for the most part, no one needs under 80. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Okay, so my sweet spot on my voice is around 80. I'd say you can go all the way up to 200 if you wanted. Some people rarely go a little higher, but there is a little boxiness around 160 to 320. And you're not going to want to cut that out. You just want to lower it. If say, all right, so after you got the lows done, you're going to work on the proximity effect, which is when they're real close, you hear like a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs, but mainly the lows will get boxy, like a little bit like this. Instead of like this is like a little more brittle, but the proximity is how close you are to the mic. Now, to me, getting closer to the mic sounds better, but it introduces the mid lows, so you got to take that out a little bit to clean it up. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Okay, so just a little bit out does a lot. It also brings a little clarity. It's almost like, since you're subtracting, it's almost like you're giving it a little curve boost, but you're not. It's just cleaning it up a little bit. So the first part of all these equalizations on the first part is corrective. So you're just basically taking out too much bass where you hear it. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Okay, so we have the proximity effect cleaned up a little. We have the low rumbles gone. A lot of people and a lot of engineers will tell you, all right, now let's juice up let's find out where there's errors by putting a cue on their additive equalization parameter. They'll scroll through, look for something that hurts their ears, and then they'll take it out a little bit. That's most engineers were taught, most mixing engineers were taught that that's the way. Now, I don't believe that you need to do that type of stuff these days. That's like old technology, that's old education, because back then the preamps and the mics were subpar. They were not flat, and there was a lot of frequencies that were boosted, and you needed to either fix it by smoothing and leveling it out, or adding a little bit. But these days we're pretty much at the technology level where it's pretty flat. So to me, don't add a problem and then fix it unless you need to. I'm not against taking away or fixing frequencies. I'm just saying, if you don't hear anything apparent, don't make a problem and fix it. Just move to the next step. Move to the next step. Okay, so we have for the most part a clean signal equalized, and it's corrected. Now we're gonna definitely want to put a gate. Now that we cleaned it up a little bit, we want to put a gate so that it cuts out and it's quiet on the parts where the client is not, the artist is not speaking. So like right on like little parts, like say right here, right here, right here, right here, you're gonna want those parts to be cut out and completely silent. Now they're not silent, they're actually noise. So if I play it, I'll show you what it's actually noise. You see that? It was a little bit of room and breath. Yeah. Most of it's breath, a lot of it's room. But I'm gonna show you how to get rid of that with a gate. Real simple, real simple. Okay. First thing you do, you come here to the dynamic section and you're going to enable the gate. Now, it might be punchy, it might not even grab. That's where you edit the range and threshold and release, and you probably don't need to touch hold. You might need to touch fast. I'll show you what they do. So I'm gonna edit that while I'm playing it. First of all, the range is how much it's gonna silence it. It could turn it down a little or a lot. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. We want it to completely go as low as possible. And then now once you do that, you play it and you play with the threshold until you hear your vocals clear, yet the silences, you see these dots light up and turn it off. So when the lights are on, it's basically muting everything. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. Too much. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. If you notice when it gets quiet, you see the green lights come on. That means it's muting it and keeping it very cleanly off with a gate. Yeah. Now the release is how fast it will release back to opening. Sometimes you want it fast, sometimes you want it slow. It's a preference. So let's play it and listen to how it sounds good fast and how it sounds good if it sounds better slower. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. I actually like the very fast release. But let's show you slow. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. You notice how fast the green is going when you play with the release. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. Fast is a fast attack to grab it, or released is a slow attack to grab it very slow. Now, sometimes when you have fast on, it might be a little jagged. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big. Sometimes it might not. Yeah, I pull up in that. I like it the smoother, slower grab. Hold is how fast it will hold the gate on it. before engaging with the attack. We very rarely need that. Holding.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
It also works on the release, so it holds it longer. Like before. All right, so say like you're quiet and all you have is breaths. The hold will hold it a little bit and fade out the breaths, but you really don't want it to hold. You'd want it to cut off, kind of. Now, I have actually an analog gate on my voice right now, but it's not through Reason. It's through my analog equipment. So if you hear me not say anything, it gets completely quiet. You see, it got completely quiet when I wasn't saying anything. That's what a gate does. It simulates an airtight booth. There's nothing better than an airtight booth, but it does a pretty good job. Okay, so let me fix my headphones real quick. All right. So, all right. The next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to compress your voice to level it. I have the master bus compressor, which is doing something slight, but let's turn it off so we could hear exactly what the channel compressor will do. So the main goal for this is to smooth out the big transients and to bring up a little bit of what's low. That's what compression is.
Yeah, I pull up.
It also gives a little glue. So that right there alone, this is kind of like the magic sauce right here. It gives it like a cohesive, thick sound. You're going to want that for it to sound professional. 99 times out of 100, you need a compressor, and it needs to be slightly apparent. Some people like more compression, some people like less. I like it to be apparent because it's to me it's synonymous with an analog sound, because a lot of preamps, like high-end preamps like Avalon 737 or 610 LA 610, they have the compressor, the leveling compressor right there on it because they know that it sounds good. Now, a lot of these sound cards that you record directly into, they have nothing but 48 volts phantom. So you're going to need the compressor. So let's put a compressor. Now, real quick explanation on what compressor is. Threshold is the level it will start compressing, that you choose the level. So if you choose 0, it won't compress until the signal hits 0, then it'll push it down. Now, how much it pushes it down is the ratio. So you could put it on infinity and it'll push it super far down. Or you could put it on just a little bit, like 1.2 to 1 or 2 to 1, and it's going to be light and subtle. I typically put threshold a little bit lower, and I like threshold ratio a little higher. There's no set sound. I mean, a set because you record at different levels in, so you can't say, oh, it's always going to be at this ratio, always at this threshold. It's always going to be slightly different, so you have to use your ears. Now, I'll start off with the stock settings and we'll edit it from there, and I'll talk, and so you could see why I do certain things.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
I'm gonna pull the threshold down to catch it lower.
Money, pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna bring ratio up to push it down more.
I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds similar to an LA 610, which I like that analog sound. It's basically pushing it down at a nice, strong level.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
Now, we pushed it down, we compressed it. We're gonna need to bring back a little bit of gain with some makeup gain. So we go up here, juice it right back up.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money, pull up in that big body.
Okay, so that changed the gate a little. Let's edit the gate. with threshold.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay. It fixed it by raising the release slightly so it didn't just completely cut off when I was breathing. Let's juice that up a little bit more to make the breath sound a little normal.
Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay. Sounding very clean.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
Now, one thing about a compressor, it does bring up a lot of frequencies. So right now I hear the proximity effect come back a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll take a little bit more out of the mid-low boxiness.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
Okay, that's sounding pretty good. Now, once we have it compressed, the next thing would be to open some air and open it up with some clarity and air, and then that introduces one last need, which will be a de-esser. So we add a little highs, and then we add a de-esser to fix that. So it's gonna sound pretty crazy, but it'll sound good. It's gonna sound digital without the de-esser. It'll sound analog with the de-esser. So I take a shelf on the highs.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what I did was opened up a little bit of the air and I added a little bit of the highs into the situation. So now the main thing to do is I have a de-esser already in here. It's bypassed. I'm gonna show you how to use the de-esser. You could go to the stock effects. Yeah, I'm gonna show you how to use the stock de-esser because I don't want to just skip over everything. All right, so we're gonna go over to factory sounds, effects patches. Where are you? All effects patches, dynamics, vocals, and de-esser is right here. So we'll drag the de-esser right in there, take off bypass. Now, what a de-esser is a sidechain EQ, sidechain to a compressor and only compressing a certain frequency. So it's just a compressor, but it's sidechained to a certain frequency, meaning it'll only turn down highs at the frequency you specify. Let me show you. It's not boosting it. It's picking the frequency right here and it's sending it to the compressor and it's pushing it down. So you pick your frequency here on the EQ and it will push it down according to this compressor.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
I'll show it to you bypassed.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big.
All right, so sidechain solo means you're gonna hear what you're compressing. So when you press this, you're gonna look for those highs and you're gonna find them with the frequency and then turn them down right here and then turn this back off and it'll bring back the normal signal.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah, yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah, yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a lot of S's in this actual recording, but we found the problem frequency, which is sort of annoying.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
And we got rid of it using a stock de-esser.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
So now we have a totally processed dry vocal. I mean dry meaning it sounds like a normal vocal chain without delay and reverb. Now, of course you're gonna want to put sends on this vocal. From this point up we used inserts, and now sends is how you make it sound wet. That's a chorus, echo, reverb, maybe some unison, maybe some auto tune. But I'm gonna show you guys. I like to put very small amounts tempo synced echoes at say like 1/8 or 1/4. Very small, subtle, and it keeps it sounding professional. Listen.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
That was too fast. Let's bring the time to 1/8. I like 1/8.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
Let's try 1/4.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like there's a little bit of frequency. Let's take that off and leave it a little bit less processed, the echo.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sounding nice.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti.
You see how it's way in the background? It's supposed to be way in the background, so you could barely tell. Now, next thing I'll add, it would be some reverb. This is the all film score. I like this one. It works pretty good for synths and sounds and vocals. So I'll turn it all the way down and dial it in until it's wet, but not too wet.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
Okay, I like the subtleness. Now the last couple things I will do will put a chorus. You can put too much and it'll sound cheap, or you could put a little bit and it'll thicken it up. Listen.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
Okay, so that added a little bit of stereo. Now you don't need unison when you're using chorus. It's similar to the chorus. It sort of detunes your voice. I'll turn off chorus and show you what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah. Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body. Yeah.
Okay, so right now it's sounding pretty good. Let's lower the unison. We probably don't even need the unison actually, because it's a very similar effect to the chorus.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up.
Okay, that is the way I bring in vocals and I get them to sound professional from a dry input. It's real simple. Remember, the first thing I do is corrective equalization. You might want to do your gate a little later, but I like to do it early on. It really doesn't matter. It's right up there in the compressor chain. So if you do it later or early, it's always gonna be right there on the compressor insert. I do okay, so after I do the corrective equalization, taking out the low rumble and the proximity mid lows, then I go and compress it to my liking. I add a little highs and then I add a little bit of de-esser, and then comes the send effects, which is echo, reverb, chorus, sometimes unison. And there you go. You have some clean sounding professional lyrics in Reason. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
I'll show you guys dry real quick before I end this so you could just hear how it sounded before.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
Actually, that had the de-esser on it. Bypass. Okay, this is dry for real.
Yeah, I pull up in that Gotti. Yeah, big money pull up in that big body.
Yeah, dry sucks. Process it, guys.